Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with a couple of nerds.
Scott Garibay.
And I'm Nerdarchist Ted.
So today we want to talk about another edition of Dungeons & Dragons in our series. This time we're going to go to 4th edition.
But before we talk about 4th edition, I really encourage you to check out the Nerdarchy newsletter. It's fantastic. It's filled with great DM tips, and it's really useful to me. I've learned a lot from it. It's always, I really enjoy seeing it in my inbox, getting lots of great content from it.
Cool.
So let's jump into the 4th edition. So this, I just wanted to show this. This is a slipcase, right? Yeah. So Friendly Gaming Store. I just kind of put a nod out there for my Friendly Gaming Store. Greg Schauer, he owned Between Books for 30 years. He's relaunched as Beyond Between Books 2.0. I bought this at a midnight release, which is really exciting. And this was back in the day when Harry Potter was a big deal, and so it was really exciting to me. Bought the whole thing for $99, in a slipcase, and I'll pass these out. So DMG for you,
nice,
and Monster Manual for you, and Player's Handbook. Look at that cover there. So I love this. Right, this cover was so exciting. When I pulled this out and I saw a Dragonborn on the cover, I lost it. I was just like, what? Look at that super hot wizard chick, right? Like literally holding a fireball. I was so excited, man. The cover's amazing.
Monster Manual, which
was that Orcus?
Said in the other, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And as I said in the other videos, usually the Monster Manual has got a link to your Red Dragon, and here we don't.
Back over here on the DMG.
Yeah, indeed.
So he's still making an appearance.
He jumped covers,
but he's jumped covers. He's not on the Monster Manual anymore. It's still cool. Now this is the edition that I put my foot down and I was like, you know what? I'm not buying them.
Oh, put your foot down. Whoa. Okay.
I did. I was so upset because we were so engrossed in 3rd edition campaigns. There wasn't the nice, easy conversion, like there was from 2nd to 3rd. Here's how you make a 3rd edition character, or how you make a 2nd to 3rd. There wasn't anything convenient like that I remember from going from 3rd to 4th, and everything about 4th was just so bizarre and weird that from almost the moment one, we looked at it as like, well, this is D&D, the video game. And
a lot of people said that. I didn't believe it, but go ahead.
From playing this game, and we played this game for about a year and a half, 2 years. And if it wasn't D&D, if this was another role-playing game, I could sit there and say, I can seriously enjoy playing this. And there were, we played the game and we enjoyed it, but to me this did not feel like D&D. And I've known a lot of people who love 4th edition. I know a lot of people who didn't start playing the game until 4th edition. But as much as it was an issue of, well, when 4th came out, I was been playing 3rd, and I had done the same thing I had done with 2nd. I collected all of these books, and I had a stack of 3rd edition books, up to my chest. And again, now it's start all over again. So we had a couple people at our table that bought the 4th edition books. We played for a while, and when someone said, you know what, let's take a break and try this other game, everybody said sure.
I must say that I've run in and kicked the door down of every edition of this game, like a barbarian raging his way through the dungeon.
You and me, brother.
I always get excited when there's a new one. I played this one, and I want to say, like, with this one, I really enjoyed it when it first came out. But the more I played it, I didn't really feel the video game thing. I just felt all the classes felt the same to me because of the way the powers worked. Well, everything was structured the same with a different skin.
It was boiled down to your 4 types.
So
your leader, your controller, your did you remember?
Leader, controller, tank, and striker.
I'm going to be the 4th edition love guy. I love this version. I love it to this day. I thought it was fantastic, and there's a whole lot that I feel really it is a great addition. And also, I think as time goes on, people are going to embrace it more. So one of the things is it had Wayne Reynolds as the artist. He was amazing. He was an art beast, right? This dude, I thought he really, he brought a style that was incredibly detailed, but yet really showed the D&D world in a completely different light, right? So the art was off the chain. And Wayne Reynolds really came. This 4th edition is where Wayne Reynolds really shined. I really liked it for that reason. The other thing, there's a whole lot of, I loved. All right, so one of the things I loved, you're looking at, just content and content and content for, this is the first time we had 30, 40, 50 pages on how to play a fighter, how to play a barbarian. And they were saying, you know what? Every other version of this game's got 180 pages of spells, and you got 3 pages of content for a fighter. I loved that 4th edition said everybody gets 30 pages, everybody gets 40 pages, everybody gets powers out the wazoo. I love that. And an addition thing, this is one of my most absolute favorite things about 4th edition. 4th edition, this is magic items exactly where they belong, in the player's handbook, not in the DMG. And I wish every version would go to this. I was really sad that this got changed in 5th edition. And so, to me, you guys know how I roll with magic. I want, +3 swords and all kinds of stuff just falling out of people's bags, And I love that. I love that they were like, yeah, players should have direct access to magic items. And there should be magic shops in every little small town, And so I love that it really embraced this. The other thing is, I will 100% defend the attempt to. I don't think this was D&D video game version. This was saying, hey, we have lost a generation of dudes playing sad video games in their basements when they could be, around a table reading, with people in their basements,
with
right?
People making their own stories as opposed to a story that somebody else has created.
Amen. And so they said we're going to bring them back, and I hallow that attempt.
In concept, I liked what they tried to do with 4th edition. I liked the fact they tried to reach out. Some people got angry about when they used the classifications. I don't care because we always used them. We called them something different. We didn't have tanks. We had the meat or the wall or whatever you wanted to call that character that stands up front.
The meat shield.
You know.
Now, I didn't care about the classification. The overall look and feel. It seemed like there wasn't enough choice. Whereas you're coming from 3rd edition, where there is so many things to look at, that it was like, all right, you can play a cleric and you can play a paladin, and they're both leaders. Well, there's not a big difference. I who love playing clerics, I like being the one that I get to put the party back together.
Yeah.
I'm necessary, and in 4th edition, you don't necessarily need a healer, because you've got. All these things that you can do to get your own hit points back. You can play a party of, 4 fighters, and you're going to be fine.
Well, there was a lot of crossover amongst the classes.
Right.
Now, when I say sameness, what I'm talking about is, not between the particular roles. That's not it. What they tried to do with giving everyone something cool to do all the time, I really liked it, but it just felt less cool the more I played. It felt less diverse. I really felt like everyone was kind of doing the same thing.
Well, I will call you guys. So I think the internet is filled with videos about how much people hated 4th. Was there anything you guys did like?
Yeah, I liked a lot of
Tell me about that.
Yeah, okay, like I said, I enjoyed playing the game. To me, it just did not feel like D&D. And it's that correlation. So you don't need to be like, I love 4th edition. How can you hate it? I didn't hate it. It just did not feel like D&D. The things that it brought to the table with combat manipulation and the grid, so many people hated it. Yet being able to, power game the battlefield, if you will, as some people have said, I enjoyed. I liked being able to be like, okay, I can do this.
We were already doing it anyway.
And to another extent, the idea of your at-wills.
Right, at-wills were great.
Having the wizard who could say, you know what, I will never run out of this spell. I played, I don't know whether my...
Eladrin wizard?
He was a wizard. He was an Eladrin, but what was it? He was a wizard, and we encountered a wall of eggs of some kind. We were underground, and I had a power that affected a grid, a 3x3. And it's like, how on earth are we going to pop these hundreds of eggs? Are we literally going to stab everyone? I'm like, nah, guys, I got this. And I literally sat there for a minute or two, popping the grid of these spells because it was every 6 seconds I could do this, far more efficient than having to stab every little last one of them. And that was a fairly low level, thing that I could do, and I had it at will. So it was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, at wills, encounter powers, dailies. I loved all of that. I thought it was a really elegant way to put powers together. The other thing is we already knew about arcane, divine. Those were established. This established martial. Martial as, hey, rangers and fighters, and those guys are in the same bracket. I thought that was really elegant as well. Was there anything you liked about 4th?
I love ritual casting.
Right.
I actually like
it's a great addition.
Even though I'm not big on like the magic items the way you are, I still like the concept of residuum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you could melt. I love that idea.
Oh, you
could melt down magic items and just put the dust onto something else and make it better. It was the best.
Yeah, like
I totally loved
your
it.
French toast or something.
Exactly.
I don't even remember that one.
It was fantastic.
Minions. I wish that
the way they handled monsters. I completely agree.
And here's the thing. Like I'm going to ruin 5th edition for all you guys out there. Every one of those things we pretty much mentioned, they're
all in 5th edition. Yeah, exactly.
They've rebranded it and renamed it.
Now, what they did though. That makes 5th edition truly special and really different is they said, hey, we're taking the best of this, leaving the worst behind, and we're going out and we're taking ideas from Dungeon World and the indie community.
Well, and
really
here's the other thing. You know
in.
how I keep saying like everything had a sameness to it? I feel like they cracked the code with 5th edition on that sameness,
totally
and they
agree.
gave everything more of a unique flavor per class.
Right.
Everything
Completely
felt
agree.
different. Like to me, after a while, my fighter felt like a wizard.
But the idea that you said about minions, that was brilliant. And like, here's the idea of this is a monster. If you hit that thing, it's down, done, right? And then they did a great job of the monsters all the way
They can
up.
threaten you.
But they can be a serious threat.
Right.
They can be like, oh, you want to fight a monster? Absolutely. You want to fight a monster that can seriously put the hurt on you. Has got a powerful armor class. Has got powerful abilities. But all you need to do is damage it.
Yeah.
That was an incredibly cool thing.
Right, skirmishers. So there was, there were, and they had all these types, and they really made this great like slice of this is what this monster is, an elite brute, like soldiers
I also
and
like
artillery.
I like the recharge abilities of the monsters,
which they held over to 5th edition.
Yeah, really, and just the way they would actually kind of group the monsters, I thought was brilliant. It was really good.
So the funny thing that I found interesting, and I'm fairly neutral on, is with 4th edition, and really every edition of D&D. So D&D starts with a game called Chainmail, which I believe none of us have probably even played.
Right, it's true.
Which is a war game. And then from that, Gary Gygax built a role-playing game modeled off of that. Well, which each edition of D&D, until you get up to 3rd, it moves away from Chainmail. 3rd edition takes a step back towards Chainmail, introducing the grid, talks about combat maneuvers and things like that. Well, 4th edition took another step even closer back to Chainmail and the grid, and this whole concept of the D&D party really being a war game boiled down to a very small unit. And then with 5th edition, and then it moved kind of back again towards first edition and 2nd edition.
And you could really see its war game elements here. Like they said, they call this guy a controller. They refer to artillery. They refer to soldiers. And just the grouping I thought was just brilliant and beautiful. The other thing is I really like I think the art was best in this game. Fourth edition has the best art in my opinion. And then the other thing is these blocks. I really liked
stat blocks. Were
done. Great. And they really they said here's your lore, here's your stat block. It was easy to read. It was really nice. I liked it a lot.
I would prefer 5th edition art if it had the consistency of the previous editions, and it does not.
Agreed. 100%. It's one of the reasons why I think, when you were, 4th edition, they had fixed the issue of tons and tons of pages without text, and it was really being taken seriously, and they just desperately wanted it to work, and they just filled pages and pages and pages with gorgeous art, and great design, great layout, just really beautiful. And also, I loved the Dragonborn. We saw the Dragonborn in here. There are lots of great races. And, you know, one thing that was great between each edition was each edition we get to say, oh, why'd they include this race? Why'd they include this class? You know, and so that was kind of fun to see which ones who's in and who's out. You know, that was always really fun. So
like the gnome. Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well,
The
so
poor gnome.
You know, the gnome goes out and the tiefling goes in. Tiefling, tiefling, however you wish to pronounce it. Now, they did the 4th edition videos.
Oh yeah, they were great,
and those were hysterical. You know, and there's specifically the ones talking with the gnome and the warlock, or sorry, the gnome and the tiefling, and they were just hysterical. You can still
fluffy.
You can still find them.
Yeah,
and that's another thing. They did a great job of the lead up to 4th edition from 3rd edition, and I'm so susceptible to marketing, and you know, and also the D&D Insider, the digital magazines, they did that, which was completely different as well.
Yeah, look at that. Like, and that's the start of a new chapter, right? And it was so gorgeous. And it was the start of equipment, right? And that was really neat the way they handled that. I hate to do this to you, but I need to switch it again.
Switch
again? And so one of the things that was really special about these books, 4th edition has a lot of great memories for me. So here's Eladrin, right? And I remember sitting on my couch, and all these books too, like these weren't collected. These were bought at my friendly local gaming store. You know, I was so excited to get them. And I remember sitting down, and the way I'd spent a year and a half reading about the development of this game, and I was so excited to get it. And for like a week or 2 weeks, I would just sit on my couch and read these books, and I did not like thumb through. Like I would just go through, and each, you know, new race, like here's, you know, half a page spread on the Eladrin, and this piece of art said, hey, you're going to read about the Eladrin now. And then this piece of art said, here's the elf. You know, the layout was gorgeous.
I really actually liked the Eladrin as well. That was one of the additions to the game.
Great.
It really spoke back to the winter and summer courts, or even the elves of Middle Earth. You know, it was a nice.
And the other thing is, just family-wise, these helped my family. The 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons game helped my family, and so my oldest son and daughter, there were 2 or 3 weeks where I just owned the couch. I sat on the couch and I read, and I start doing this now. When I read a book, I'll go into the living room and I'll read. And it's now known that if Dad is reading in the living room, TV goes off. Right? And so everybody's got to go find a book or find a game or something else to do. And it was really kind of nice. And one thing is, it's kind of a big deal now, but like my kids, when they would just see, and I would not say, go read. I would read. I would just sit on the couch, and they would see me every time they pass through the living room, see me reading these books. My older sons and daughters just tear through books. I'm really blessed. My oldest son, he got full tuition scholarship to where he's going, which is really exciting. And I believe that came from me being excited and passionate about reading, and they've seen me read 3rd edition and 4th edition and 5th edition, and this one I did not move from the couch for 3 weeks until I
got a couple more things that I didn't mention that I also like. Shadowfell.
Woo! Yeah. Exactly.
They really the Points of Light. They really did introduce some really cool story elements.
Yeah.
But, you know, for our table, the thing that's always going to suffer for 4th edition, it's just mechanically, it's our least favorite edition.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people out there. One other thing why 4th edition is so special to me is, and this we really want to hear what you guys think about these games, because we know while each one of these editions triggers memories for us, we were talking about it, you know, like we were talking about video games, and you know, I went to a great, the Gameskeep, which is in Westchester, is another great friendly local gaming shop, and I spent like 2.5 years playing at a game that somebody else DM'd, playing in 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I met Curtis Lehman there. Kurt, you know, and he's just one of the best players I've ever seen. He just is an amazing player. He was really good at mechanics, and he was really good at story, and that's the part where I struggle. I think I'm strong with story. I'm always trying to get better with mechanics, but my brain just, you know, and so he's a good friend to this day, and so this edition has given me specific friends. There are friends I have that are linked to 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons that I would never met them if I hadn't sought out a game shop where this game ruled. And at Gameskeep in Westchester, Pennsylvania, 4th edition was the shiznit. Everybody loved it. It was, they did.
I've said this in other videos. I enjoy role playing. I enjoy playing the game. I don't care about the rules. I'll play anything and I'll give it a shot. And as I said, we played this game for almost 2 years, and it was only when someone's like, I'm going to run this other type of game, who's interested, and we moved in another direction. Had that not happened, we probably would have
played it even longer.
continued playing 4th edition. I've played games, that I don't particularly care about the rule set, because that's the game being offered at the table that I'm gaming at. So, while yes, there are some things that I don't like about 4th, there are many things that they did right, and there's a lot of stuff that crept over from 4th to 5th. They just found a way to sneak it in, and the people who didn't like it in 4th, because it's got a different name or worded differently, people love it. There was just something about 4th that many people just did not grasp. Some people came new to the hobby and fell in love with it. So I'm happy that 4th was created for the stuff that it did for the hobby, and it brought new people in. It brought new things in that still exist in the current iteration. So I don't hate it.
I wish I knew we were doing this, or I would have brought my Gamma World.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
Which is based off of 4th edition rules.
Yeah, and I have that game too. It's beautiful.
Which I also enjoy playing greatly. It's really dumbed down and simplified, but it's still fun.
Gamma World is fantastic.
Another thing I loved about 4th edition that many people did not like were the cards. I really liked the cards. They went full out on cards. They had cards for every single race. They had cards for every single class.
You can print out your powers. It was convenient. I have a stack of them sitting on my dining room table right now.
They even experimented with some cards near the game. It was near the end. It was like these sets that were connected to different series, and you could bring a power that you could add to your character with these cards. They were beautiful. I loved them. To your point, it jacks up the price of playing, because it makes playing the game more expensive. There's gives and takes. I did love that part about the game. The other thing that I really like is each one of these iterations, you could see them trying something new, trying to push the envelope.
A lot of times, what I ended up doing, because I would use my D&D Insider to create my characters.
Right.
And, I would print out all my characters from my powers from there. I'd cut them out. I put them in their little sleeves.
Absolutely.
I think
you even use the magic thing of, okay, well, I've used my daily power, so you tap
exactly.
it.
Yeah. It's really kind of cool. Yeah.
I think it made it easier too if you had players that were coming from the CCG realm.
Right. Absolutely.
The cards were familiar to them, and they understood that. It made it a little bit easier. So not only did it give the ability to pull from MMO players, but also there was that familiarity to that aspect of the game for CCG players as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Which are good things. Like anytime we can expand this hobby and get more people, especially young people, doing it.
It's good.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree.
So what do you guys think? Are you pro 4th? Are you against 4th? And you have any cool stories you feel like sharing? Put in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
You can follow us on Instagram.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.